The old book felt warm beneath Celeste's fingers as she traced its leather cover. Strange symbols glowed faintly in the dim basement of Riverside Public Library, where dust particles danced in shafts of afternoon sunlight. She had discovered the tome wedged behind a loose brick wall while organizing the archive room. Celeste Morgan had always been drawn to mysteries. At 24, she possessed a gentle spirit and curious mind that made her perfect for library work. Her auburn hair caught the light as she leaned closer to examine the ancient text. The symbols seemed to pulse with an inner warmth that made her heart race. The book opened easily, pages turning as if guided by invisible hands. Words written in flowing script began to shimmer and change, transforming into English before her eyes. Celeste gasped softly, her green eyes widening as the text became readable. When hearts seek connection across the veil of time, she read aloud, her voice barely a whisper. Speak these words to bridge the worlds that bind. The basement grew still. Even the usual sounds of the library above seemed muted. Celeste felt compelled to continue reading, though every logical thought told her to stop. The words rolled off her tongue like honey, each syllable carrying weight she could not understand. By starlight and shadow, by flame and earth, I call to thee who guards the ancient ways. A warm breeze stirred the pages, though no windows were open. Celeste's skin tingled as golden light began to emanate from the book itself. She should have been frightened, but instead she felt strangely peaceful, as if this moment had been waiting for her all her life. Darian of the eternal flame, she continued, reading words that seemed to burn themselves into her memory. Keeper of wisdom, guardian of hearts, I summon thee to walk among us once more. The light intensified, swirling upward from the pages in spiraling ribbons of gold and silver. The air shimmered like heat waves rising from summer pavement. Celeste clutched the book tighter, unable to look away as the light began to take shape. First, broad shoulders emerged from the luminescence, then a powerful chest covered by a simple white shirt. Arms corded with lean muscle materialized next, followed by a face that made Celeste's breath catch in her throat. Strong jawline, high cheekbones, and eyes the color of amber flame gazed down at her with ancient wisdom and infinite tenderness. You called, he said, his voice carrying the warmth of fireplace embers and the strength of mountain stone. After 8 centuries of silence, you called to me. Celeste stumbled backward, the book tumbling from her hands. It landed with a soft thud, its glow immediately fading to ordinary leather and parchment. The man stepped forward, his movement fluid and graceful, despite his impressive height. Please, he said, raising his hands in a gesture of peace, do not fear me. I am Darian Blackthorne, and you have just awakened me from the longest sleep of my existence. This is impossible, Celeste whispered, pressing her back against the cool stone wall. People don't just appear from books. This has to be a dream. Darian's amber eyes softened with understanding. I know this must seem frightening, but you possess something rare, Celeste Morgan. Yes, I know your name. The magic chooses its own, and it has chosen you. Her name on his lips sent shivers through her entire being. How could he know who she was? And why did his presence feel both foreign and familiar, like remembering a half-forgotten song? Magic isn't real, she said, though the words felt hollow even to her own ears. Darian smiled, and the expression transformed his austere features into something breathtakingly handsome. Magic is the most real thing in any world. It flows through you now, awakened by your compassionate heart and pure intent. That is why the book responded to your touch. He took another careful step closer, and Celeste caught his scent, wild and clean, like pine forests and mountain air. Her pulse quickened, but not entirely from fear. Something deep within her recognized him, welcomed him, yearned for his nearness in a way that defied all logic. What are you? She asked softly. I am what your kind calls a dragon shifter, Darian replied, his honesty evident in every word. For 800 years, I have slept in the space between worlds, waiting for someone pure of heart to call me back. You, Celeste, are that someone. The basement seemed to spin around her. Dragons existed only in fairy tales and fantasy novels. Yet here stood a man claiming to be one, and every instinct she possessed whispered that he spoke the truth. Why me? She breathed. Darian's expression grew tender. Because you have the rarest gift of all, the ability to love without condition, to see beauty in forgotten places, to bring light where there is darkness. That is dragon magic, Celeste. And that is why fate has brought us together. As their eyes met across the dusty basement, Celeste felt her world shift forever. The quiet life she had known was ending, replaced by something magnificent and terrifying and absolutely perfect. The awakening had begun. 3 days had passed since Celeste first summoned Darian from the ancient book. Each morning brought new wonders and growing confusion as she struggled to accept the magical reality now surrounding her quiet life. Darian had taken residence in this small apartment above the antique shop next to the library, claiming he needed to stay close to protect her from dangers she did not yet understand. The bond between us grows stronger each day, Darian explained as they walked through Riverside Park at sunset. His human form moved with predatory grace, drawing curious glances from other evening strollers. When a dragon chooses a mate, the connection transcends physical realm boundaries. Celeste felt her cheeks warm at his words. Mate? We barely know each other. Time moves differently for my kind, Darian replied, his amber eyes reflecting the fading sunlight. 8 centuries taught me patience, but also recognition. What your heart calls love at first sight, mine calls destiny fulfilled. They paused beside the old stone bridge that crossed Riverside Creek. Water bubbled peacefully below, while fireflies began their nightly dance among the cattails. Celeste leaned against the weathered railing, trying to process emotions that seemed too large for her chest. Show me, she whispered suddenly, your true form. If we are truly connected, I need to see all of you. Darian studied her face carefully. Are you certain? Once you witness my dragon self, there will be no returning to the simple life you knew. Celeste nodded, her green eyes steady with determination. I stopped living a simple life the moment I opened that book. Darian stepped back, closing his eyes in concentration. The air around him began to shimmer with the same golden light that had first brought him to her. His human form stretched and expanded, muscles rippling as bones lengthened and reshaped themselves. Magnificent scales emerged across his skin. Deep emerald green shot through with veins of gold that caught the dying sunlight. Within moments, a dragon stood before her on the bridge. Not the terrifying beast of medieval legends, but a creature of breathtaking beauty. His scales gleamed like precious gems, and his eyes remained the same warm amber she had grown to love. Powerful wings folded against his serpentine body, and his long neck curved gracefully as he lowered his great head toward her. Celeste reached out with trembling fingers to touch the scales along his muzzle. They felt warm and smooth, like polished stone heated by summer sun. Darian rumbled deep in his chest, a sound like distant thunder mixed with contentment. You are magnificent, she breathed, wonder replacing all traces of fear. In response, Darian's form began to shift again, returning to his human appearance. When the transformation completed, he caught her hand in both of his, pressing it against his heart. And you, Celeste Morgan, are braver than any warrior I have known in 8 centuries of existence. Their faces drew closer, and Celeste felt the magnetic pull that had been growing between them since their first meeting. Just as their lips were about to meet, a harsh voice shattered the peaceful evening. How touching. The legendary Darian Blackthorne, reduced to courting human librarians. They spun to find a man in an expensive black suit approaching the bridge. His silver hair gleamed in the lamplight, and his cold blue eyes held malicious intelligence. Power radiated from him in waves that made the air itself feel heavy and oppressive. "Victor Stone," Darian growled, immediately positioning himself between the stranger and Celeste. "I thought you were dead." Victor laughed, the sound like breaking glass. "Death is for lesser beings. I have spent the last 3 centuries gathering power while you slept like a lazy house cat. Now I hear whispers that the great guardian has awakened. And for what? This insignificant mortal? She is under my protection," Darian replied, his voice carrying dangerous undertones. "Protection?" Victor's smile turned predatory. "From what I can sense, she possesses remarkable magical potential, wasted on library books and simple kindness. I could teach her to harness real power." Celeste felt strange energy stirring within her at Victor's words. The same warmth that had allowed her to read the ancient book now pulsed through her veins like liquid starlight. Without conscious thought, she stepped forward. "I choose who I trust," she said firmly, surprised by the strength in her own voice. "And I choose Darian." Victor's eyes narrowed as he studied her more intently. "Interesting. You carry bloodline magic, girl. Dragon magic, unless I am mistaken. How deliciously ironic. What does that mean?" Celeste demanded, but Victor was already backing away. "Ask your precious guardian about the dragon heart prophecy." Victor called over his shoulder. "Ask him why he really needed you to wake him. Then we shall see how much you trust him." With that, Victor melted into the shadows between the trees, leaving only the lingering scent of sulfur and malice. Darian's jaw clenched as he turned to face Celeste. The hurt and confusion in her eyes cut him deeper than any blade ever had. "The dragon heart prophecy?" she asked quietly. He sighed, running his hands through his dark hair. "It is ancient magic, older than my kind. It speaks of a human, born with dragon essence in her bloodline, capable of bridging our 2 worlds. When such a person awakens their power through love, both realms are strengthened. And you think I am this person?" "I hoped," Darian admitted. "But Celeste, understand that my feelings for you exist independent of any prophecy. What I feel when I look at you, what makes my ancient heart beat faster, that is real and chosen, not destined." Celeste studied his face in the growing darkness. Truth rang in his words, but doubt had taken root. How much of their connection was genuine attraction, and how much was magical manipulation? "I need time to think," she said finally. Darian nodded, though pain flickered across his features. "Whatever you decide, I will respect your choice. But please be careful. Victor Stone is dangerous in ways you cannot yet comprehend." As they walked back toward town in troubled silence, neither noticed the shadow following them through the trees. Victor's promises of power had planted seeds of temptation, while his warnings had sown fields of doubt. The battle for Celeste's heart, and perhaps the fate of both worlds, had truly begun. The morning sun cast long shadows across Celeste's apartment as she paced restlessly near her window. 2 sleepless nights had passed since Victor Stone's disturbing revelation about the dragon heart prophecy. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Darian's pained expression when she had asked for time to think. A soft knock interrupted her troubled thoughts. She opened the door to find Professor Helena Webb, the elderly woman who had mentored her during college. Helena's silver hair was pulled back in its usual neat bun, but her typically calm blue eyes held urgency. "We need to talk, dear," Helena said, stepping inside without invitation. "About your young dragon friend and the danger you both face." Celeste stared at her former professor in shock. "How do you know about Darian?" Helena smiled sadly. "Child, I have been protecting magical secrets in this town for 40 years. Did you think the awakening of an ancient dragon would go unnoticed? Especially when that dragon has chosen a descendant of the Morgan bloodline." "Descendant?" Celeste sank into her reading chair, overwhelmed by another revelation. Your great-grandmother was a dragon keeper, Helena explained gently. She fell in love with a human man and chose mortality over magic. But the dragon essence remained dormant in her bloodline, waiting for the right moment to emerge. That's why I could read the book, Celeste whispered, understanding flooding through her. Helena nodded gravely. And why Victor Stone wants to capture you. Dragon essence can be harvested and used to amplify magical power exponentially. In the wrong hands, it becomes a weapon of terrible destruction. As if summoned by his name, Victor's voice echoed through the apartment windows from the street below. Celeste Morgan, come down and face me, or watch your precious dragon burn. They rushed to the window and peered down at the street. Victor stood in the center of the road, his expensive suit replaced by dark robes that billowed despite the still air. In his raised hands, magical chains of silver fire bound Darian in his human form. The dragon shifter's face was contorted with pain, but his amber eyes searched the windows until they found Celeste's. You have 10 minutes to surrender yourself. Victor called up to her, or I begin extracting his dragon essence, 1 drop at a time. No. Celeste cried, pressing her hands against the glass. Helena gripped her shoulder firmly. This is what Victor planned all along. Use Darian as bait to force your cooperation. Then I have to go to him, Celeste said, turning toward the door. Wait. Helena reached into her bag and withdrew a small crystal pendant on a silver chain. This belonged to your great-grandmother. It will help you channel your dragon heritage when the moment comes. Celeste fastened the necklace, feeling immediate warmth spread through her chest. What am I supposed to do? Trust your heart, Helena replied. And remember that true love is the strongest magic of all. Celeste raced down the Rao, stairs, and burst through the apartment building's front entrance. Victor smiled coldly as she approached, his grip on the magical chains tightening. Darian's face went pale, but he managed to speak. Celeste, don't do this. He wants to drain your essence and use it to control both the human and magical realms. Touching, Victor sneered, but ultimately pointless. The girl will come with me willingly, or watch you suffer. I'll come, Celeste said quickly. Just don't hurt him anymore. Victor's laugh was triumphant. I thought you might see reason. But as Victor reached for her with one hand, while maintaining the chains with the other, Celeste felt the crystal pendant grow suddenly hot against her skin. Power unlike anything she had ever experienced surged through her veins. Her great-grandmother's voice seemed to whisper in her mind, Love without fear, child. Love without limits. No, Celeste said firmly, stepping back. I choose differently. Golden light erupted from the pendant, spreading outward in waves that made the very air shimmer. Celeste felt her human form expanding, changing, as dragon magic awakened fully within her bloodline. But unlike Darian's transformation, hers remained partial. Dragon scales appeared along her arms in patterns of deep sapphire blue, and her eyes blazed with inner fire. Victor's chains shattered like glass, freeing Darian instantly. The dragon shifter wasted no time resuming his true form, emerald scales gleaming as he positioned himself beside Celeste. Impossible, Victor snarled, backing away. Human bloodlines cannot sustain full dragon magic. She is not merely human, Darian rumbled, his great voice filled with pride and love. She is the bridge between worlds, and her power comes from choice, not conquest. Celeste felt the magic flowing between herself and Darian, their connection stronger than any chain Victor could forge. Together, they advanced on the sorcerer who had threatened their love. Your centuries of stealing power end here, Victor, Celeste declared, her voice carrying new authority. Love freely given will always triumph over magic taken by force. Victor raised his hands to cast another spell, but the combined power of two hearts united proved too strong. Golden and emerald light intertwined, creating a barrier that reflected his dark magic back upon him. With a scream of rage and defeat, Victor vanished in a cloud of sulphurous smoke. As the magical energy faded, both Celeste and Darian returned to their human forms. She swayed on her feet, exhausted by the effort, but Darian caught her gently in his strong arms. "Are you all right?" he asked, amber eyes full of concern. "Better than all right," she replied, reaching up to cup his face in her hands. "I understand now. The prophecy was never about destiny forcing us together. It was about choice. I choose you, Darian, not because magic demands it, but because my heart demands it." Their lips met in a kiss that sealed more than romantic love. It bound two realms together, ensuring that magic and humanity could coexist in harmony. When they finally parted, both were breathless and glowing faintly with residual dragon magic. "I love you, Celeste Morgan," Darian whispered against her forehead. "And I love you, Darian Blackthorne," she replied, "for all the centuries yet to come." Helena appeared beside them, smiling with deep satisfaction. "Your great-grandmother would be very proud, dear. You have restored the balance she helped create so long ago." As the three of them walked back toward the library, Celeste noticed that the morning light seemed brighter, the air cleaner. The magical and human worlds had indeed found balance through the power of love freely chosen. That evening, as she and Darian sat together in the library basement where their story began, Celeste opened the ancient book once more. The pages now showed new text, written in flowing script that spoke of love conquering darkness and two hearts, becoming one across all realms. "What happens now?" she asked, leaning against Darian's solid warmth. "Now we build the life we choose together," he replied, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. "Dragon and human, magic and mundane, all in perfect harmony." The book glowed softly on the table before them, no longer a summoning tool, but a testament to the greatest magic of all. True love, freely given and fiercely protected, had indeed conquered everything.